So our first author today, very fittingly, wrote the book Meet the Matzah. So we thought it was good to have him kick everything off on Pesach. It's actually a follow-up to his book Meet the Latkes. So we sense a theme going on. Alan is joining us from Montreal. And he is not just an author, he's also a cartoonist and a screenwriter. So he is going to lead us in a super fun workshop where we're going to talk about writing. We're going to hear his book, and we're also going to learn how to do some cartooning, work on some writing prompts with him. I'm really excited. So I'm going to let Alan take over.
Oh, thank you, Ellie. What a wonderful introduction. And hello, everybody, and happy Passover. What a wonderful way to kind of spend a late Wednesday, in Passover time, and just sort of meet you all and do some creative, fun stuff. Now, Ellie mentioned that I've written a lot of different books. I've written novels for kids, but then I decided to try writing a picture book, and that was this book, Meet the Latkes. And if you're a PJ Library subscriber, maybe you know this book. And in this book, I wanted to do a silly telling of Hanukkah. So I created a Latke family, and the grandpa comes to the house and tells the story of Hanukkah, but he makes it up. And by doing that, I was able to then tell the real story of Hanukkah. So I didn't know I was going to do a follow-up Passover book, but I started thinking I didn't want to do, a matzah family, and it's the same thing. But when I thought about Passover, and I remembered the word afikomen, you know what that is? Do you remember from the Seder? When we break one of the matzahs and we hide half of it, and that is called the afikomen? Well, that word sounds an awful lot like Alfie Komen. So I created a character named Alfie Komen, who is a piece of matzah, who goes to school, and because he's Alfie Komen, he likes to hide, and all the other characters at his school are kind of bread-like. And all these ideas swirled around, and I realized I had a new idea and a new way to tell a story. So I would love to share my new book with you right now, Meet the Matzah. And so I'm going to share my screen and read the book to you, and then we're going to have a lot of fun doing some doodling. So I hope you have paper ready. So first things first. Okay. Meet the Matzah, a Passover story. Now I told you it was a bread school. So at the beginning of the book, you can see class photos of all of Alfie's classmates. So there's Alfie Komen in the corner, and next to him is his best friend Hallelujah. And then there are the twins, Bun, and in the corner below her is Bun too. And in the very top is Loaf. He's the school sourdough. Then below Alfie is Nancy, and she's not Nancy. She's Nancy because naan is a type of bread. If you eat at Indian restaurants, it's a type of bread. So she's Nancy. Bernie Toast, it's his birthday. Cornelius Tortilla, or Corny. And again, there's Bun too in the last one. Meet the Matzah, a Passover story. Meet the Matzah. He's just like you, except he's bread. Unleavened bread. No yeast for this guy. That's Alfie Komen. He likes lots of things. He likes to go to the movies. He likes his braided best friend, Hallelujah. And Alfie Komen really likes to hide. It's time for Mrs. Crust's class. Today, the students are telling stories about their favorite holidays. Wonderful, says Mrs. Crust, who's a piece of pumpernickel bread. Nancy's story is about the festival of Diwali. Diwali is the Hindu festival of lights, she says. Cornelius Tortilla, his story tells how his whole tortilla family celebrates the Mexican Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos is a holiday to remember people who died. And in the corner there's Loaf. So bored. On the next page, Bernie Toast shouts, "And my story is all about my birthday!" Mrs. Crust checks her list. Our final story today is about the Jewish holiday of Passover. Mrs. Crust scans the classroom. Where is Alfie Coleman? And the whole class shouts, "Hiding!" "Alfie Coleman," Mrs. Crust calls out with her arms crisscrossed. "How many times have I told you, no hiding in class?" "Sorry, Mrs. Crust," a small voice answers from inside the bookcase. And if you look really closely at the bookcase, you can see this shape with an eyeball, and that's Alfie Coleman. And Bernie Toast says, "There he is." Challah helps Alfie wiggle out of his hiding spot between the dictionary and thesaurus. Plop. "Thank you, Alfie," Mrs. Crust smiles. "We're all excited to hear your Passover story." "Well, I'm not." Loaf, the school sourdough, groans. "Alfie's stories are always so boring." "That's mean," says Cornelius. "Yeah, Loaf," the twins Bun and Bun agree. "Not nice." "Loaf," Mrs. Crust says gently, "perhaps there's a more helpful way you can express yourself." "Oh, helpful?" asks Loaf. "Great idea, Mrs. Crust." Loaf jumps up from his desk and rushes to the front of the classroom. "I'll just help Alfie make his story better." Alfie freezes. He looks for a new hiding spot. Gulp. "Don't worry," Challah whispers. "You've got this." But all Alfie's really got is a stomach ache. The story of Passover, Alfie begins in a soft, nervous whisper, by Alfie Coleman. "And Loaf!" Loaf shouts. Alfie starts his story. "A long time ago in ancient Egypt, there was a ruthless ruler who enslaved all of the Hebrews." "Yeah, and this ruler was evil and wicked," Loaf jumps in, "and had sharp, pointy teeth and 6 really creepy pincher arms." "What?" thinks Alfie. Loaf goes on louder. "And this giant, icky ruler's name was the Pharaoh." The students are stunned. "Huh?" thinks Challah. "Cool," says Corny. "A roach," Bernie Toast says. "Like a cockroach," says Nancy. "No way," say the twins. "No, not Pharaoch," Alfie corrects Loaf. "Pharaoh. He was called Pharaoh. I think you made a mistake, Loaf." But the whole class, and even Mrs. Crust, is on the edge of their seats. "Keep going," Bernie Toast begs. "A huge cockroach tyrant? This Passover story's wild." "See," Loaf chuckles. "Not boring." "Not true either," says Alfie as he goes back to telling the real story. Okay, so I was saying, and so the Pharaoh, Pharaoch, the whole class shouts. "Fine," Alfie sighs. "The Pharaoch made the Hebrew people do all of the hard work. They built his pyramids, they harvested his crops, and they dug him a crazy swimming pool with a twisty water slide," shouts Loaf. "Stop him, Alfie! Wait, Loaf!" A hand goes up, actually 2 hands. Bun and Bun have the same question. "But why would the Pharaoch make them do all that?" Loaf laughs. "I'll tell you why." And Loaf and the Pharaoch yell, "Because I said so." That Pharaoch is mean and bossy, and his swimming pool is creepy. "Alfie," says Challah, "Loaf is ruining your story. He took it over. Do something." I am, says Alfie. I'm hiding. You can see Alfie digging a hole. Challah grabs Alfie's arm. You can't just hide every time you feel bad. I know. Alfie lets out a deep sigh. I just worked so hard on my story and Loaf just took it over. That's what bullies do, says Challah. Hey, Alfie, Loaf orders. Hit the lights. Alfie's confused. But why? Because I said so, Loaf shouts, leaping on top of Mrs. Crust's desk. Loaf's voice booms through the dark classroom. The Hebrews needed help, and so the call went out for... Suddenly, a huge letter M shines onto the wall. The one, the only, the superhero in sandals, Mighty Moses. No, says Challah. Yes, laughs Loaf. Oi, says Alfie. Using all his superpowers, Mighty Moses zipped and zapped and zoomed into the fat roach's palace. Let my people go, or else. Or else what? The fat roach cackled. Or else, Mighty Moses roared, 10 terrible plagues will descend on you and your people. Hey, at least Loaf got the 10 plagues part right, whispers Challah. I sure hope so, Alfie says. So did the Pharaoh let the Hebrew slaves go? Everyone asks. No way, Loaf shouts. So Mighty Moses unleashed the 10 plagues, according to me, Loaf. Plague 1, no Wi-Fi. The second plague, early bedtime. The third plague, birthday clowns. And Bernie Toast hates clowns. The fourth plague, pimples. The fifth plague, broccoli for dessert. The sixth plague, nightmares. The seventh plague, bad haircuts. Plague number 8, slug soup. Plague number 9, bagpipes. And the last plague, the 10th plague, indoor recess forever. Alfie's face grows red. Those aren't the Passover plagues. Then do something, says his friend Challah. Let my story go, Alfie shouts. Everyone gets quiet, even Loaf. Listen up, Alfie faces his stunned class. This is the real Passover story. First, there was no giant cockroach. The tyrant was a terrible man called the Pharaoh. And Moses wasn't a superhero. Wait, I can't fly? But he was a hero who spoke up to the Pharaoh and led the Hebrews from slavery to freedom. How? Mrs. Crust wonders. How? Bernie Toast asks. Yeah, Alfie. Even Loaf wants to know the rest of the real story. How did they get free? And so Alfie continues. Moses warned the Pharaoh that if he didn't free the Hebrews, his kingdom would suffer. But did the Pharaoh listen? Frogs, bugs, disease? No way. But after the 10 plagues destroyed all of the crops and livestock and made the Pharaoh's people sick or worse, get out of here! The Hebrews were finally able to flee, and Moses says, I told you. Alfie goes on, the Hebrews were in such a rush that they didn't have time to let their bread dough rise, and the flat, unleavened bread they ate on their exodus from Egypt was matzah. This way, says Moses. But it didn't take long for the Pharaoh to change his mind and send his army to catch them all. Yeah, on second thought, catch them. The Hebrews seem trapped at the edge of the Red Sea. At least we won't go hungry, Moses says with all that matzah. Moses prayed for help, and a miracle occurred. The Red Sea parted, and the Hebrew people crossed without harm. And the Pharaoh's army? Well, they chased after the Hebrews, but the sea closed and swallowed them up. Whoa! The whole class agrees. The Passover story is epic. And true, Alfie adds with a smile. Loaf shuffles his feet. He needs to tell Alfie something. Look, I'm really sorry. I messed up your story, Alfie. I got all bossy and loud, kind of like the Pharaoh, and he was just a big mean. He was not a cockroach, explodes Alfie. Loaf smiles. I was going to say big, mean bully. Did you really like the Passover story, Loaf? You bet, Loaf shouts. I'd do anything to hear it again. Me too, says Challah. Great, Alfie says. You're both invited to my family's Seder. Challah interrupts, but Alfie, we're bread. You aren't supposed to have bread at Passover. No problem, Alfie chuckles, but remember, you both said you'd do anything. And the next night at the Seder, Loaf and Challah wear protective suits so no bread gets onto the table. Year after year, the story of how the Hebrews escaped to freedom is told at every Passover Seder all over the world. But why is this Passover Seder different from all other Passover Seders? Because tonight, Alfie Komen is not hiding. Tonight, he is sitting next to a brand new friend. And Loaf says, Dayenu. What a story, says Loaf, reading from his Haggadah. I know, whispers Alfie. Wait until you hear about Purim. That's the end of the book. And in the back, I list lots of different things to learn about Passover, some of the terms used in the book, and what's on the Seder plate. And in the back of the book, there's the Pharaoh, a big bad guy. You want to know the true story of Passover? Read this book. That, and thank you for listening, is my book, Meet the Matzah, A Passover Story. And it's so fun to share it with you, but I also have to share this little public service announcement that if a matzah can wear a mask, so can you. We're still working on it. We're almost done. And again, my book, the first one was Meet the Latkes. The next book I just read was Meet the Matzah. And coming next year, my Purim book, Meet the Hamentashen, which is about 3 Hamentashen detectives searching for the missing Megillah. So that is my introduction and my story. And yes, I drew all those pictures. And yes, I wrote all the words. And the fun part now is, would you like to draw with me and learn how to draw some of these characters? So if you have paper and something to draw with, it could be a crayon or a marker or a pencil, or I don't know, dip your finger in the wine and paint. You can do anything. I'm going to have to just share my screen quickly one more time. And we're going to do some simple, fun drawing. Can anybody guess who that guy is? I'll put my matzah hat on. Look, my son made me a hat with Alfie Komen on it. Yes, that's a piece of matzah that looks like me. And I'm going to teach you how easy it is to draw things like matzah and latkes and Hamentashen. The first thing I'm going to do is clear my screen. And we're going to start with matzah. Now, what shape do you think matzah is? Most matzah.
Square.
I know there's different shapes. Square. That's right. So you don't have to, sometimes in geometry, in math class, squares are perfect. But not the way I draw and not the way I want you to draw. You want to make a square, but it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be, because it's a cartoon and because it's matzah. If you can draw a square and then you know how to make circles, you put 2 big circles, at least for Alfie Komen. And in the middle of those, little dots that you color in. And Alfie tends to smile a lot, even though he hides. So I like to do a smile. But remember what I said before? You can do anything. So what if he was in a bad mood? Or what if he was surprised? So just remember, the way you learn how to cartoon is to play around and try different things. And we'll go back to the smile. And how do you draw the rest of his body? Well, I like to teach really simple. So Alfie Komen has stick legs and little shoes, which are just darker sticks. And his arms, guess what? Sticks. And what kind of fingers do you think he has right now? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's sticks. Because there's always time to learn to get fancier. But right now, all you want to do is feel good about yourself and be able to draw. Now, Alfie, because he's matzah, has little burn marks. So I like to put little lines and dots, just wherever I feel like it. You can't go wrong. You just want him to feel like he came out of the oven. And there you have a very simple cartoon matzah. Now look at those eyes. I want to show you 3 simple tricks for making Alfie look totally different with 3 lines. So let's say Alfie's tired. Here's the lines for that. I'm sleepy. You just put lines across his eyes and you have a character who looks sleepy. Now, what if instead Alfie was feeling a little bit mean? You take your lines for the eyes like this. And now he looks like he's got a scheme. He wants to do something. And here's the third and last trick for now. What if Alfie Komen is feeling a little bit like crying? You put circly lines in his eyes and you draw tears, which are just little drops. And now Alfie's feeling sad. But I don't want him to feel sad because he's happy. So I'm going to take those away. But I do like to show you things. One of the things about cartooning, and if you've seen any cartoons or you've read any of Dave Pilkey's books or all sorts of graphic novels, there are the words. And the words are usually in these things called, in cartooning, balloons. So the trick for doing words and balloons is you always do the words first. So just to be simple, I'm going to have Alfie say, hello. So I write the word first. Hello, I'm matzah. And after you write the words you want the character to say, you put a circle around it, a curvy line, with a pointy thing on it. And that's called the cartoon balloon. And later you're going to draw your own characters and put your own words together. So that's why I wanted to show you this. So that's one way to draw matzah. Oh, thank you for showing me how. That's nice. And remember, I'm showing you how I draw. That doesn't mean you can't draw totally different. You can make eyes that are tiny, or you can make a matzah that's already got a bite out of it. Anything that comes into your mind is an okay thing to draw. Let's move on to Hanukkah. Now, I showed you that if you draw with just a square, you get matzah. Well, latkes are sort of circles, but not perfect circles. They're bad circles. Like, there's a circle that kind of isn't perfect, which is exactly what you want. I'm drawing a character from my book, Meet the Latkes. And if you know the book, you'll probably guess the character. So here's my latke shape. And I put 2 big circles. And I put eyeballs there with the little dots. And I want him to have glasses like I have glasses. So I just put lines like that. This character has a silly mouth. And notice this, I don't have to be perfect when I do my doodling. It's just sort of a squiggly mouth. And this character has lines for hair that come out of the top of his head. And I've already showed you simple legs, which are sticks with shoes and arms. And here's a fancier way to make hands. You take a number 3, and then you add another loop. And here you do a backwards 3, and you add another loop. And that's how you make 3 fingers or another loop, 4 fingers, for your character. And this is Grandpa Latke from Meet the Latkes. And he's a very silly character who tells a very silly story about Hanukkah. But because he's a Latke, and he's been fried in a pan, I like to give him these little burn marks so that we know he's nice and crispy, because we like our latkes crispy. So now you can draw a latke. And remember, I'm going to just erase something because I'm going to show you, I don't want you to feel like this is the only thing you could do. I drew Grandpa Latke, but let's keep the same circle shape, and I'm going to just make up a character who's a latke. And I'm just going to give this character squirrely hair that are just squiggles. And this character has the number 8 on its side for eyes. And it's just a different latke that's all goofy. And it's all about changing and using shapes you already know. All the numbers, 1 through 10, can be great cartoons. For example, and again, I'd like to teach that cartoons are just shapes you already know how to draw. Can you make one of these? I bet you can. Who knows what that is? Number 5? Well, what if I tell you that's really a dog? And here's how you make it a dog. When I look at my doodles, I look for shapes that look like faces. And right here where I'm putting my pen, I'm putting these. This is the mouth of my dog. And then I'm putting M's at the bottom for bottom teeth. And if that's the dog's mouth, wide open, the eye would be here. So I just do a circle and I'll put a dot in it. And if that's the eye and the mouth, the nose would be here. But that's not a dog yet, is it? Well, if you take the letter D, but you put it on its side, here's the D, and it's like it fell over. And then you just look and say, that's the ear, but where's the body? It looks all floaty. Well, I just connect it all. And I put backwards L's for legs, and a tail, which is just a line, and sometimes I do a tongue because it's funny. And that is a cartoon dog from the number 5. All sorts of shapes can be other things. It's really fun to do. And later, when you have time alone with your friends or with your family, you can just make stuff up. Say, okay, give me a number. And someone in your house will say, number 6. So you go, okay, number 6, huh? Well, number 6, what can I do with that? Go ahead, put a number 6 on your paper. I'm not going to start. Now, remember, you can turn that number any way you want to look for the shape you want. And of course, then you get a 9. But starting right there, if that was a number 6, the very first thing I see, and this is just for me, maybe you see something different, is the eyeball. And if that's the eyeball, maybe there are 2 eyes. So I'll add a circle like that. And put another eyeball. And this curvy thing that goes up, well, that sort of looks like hair to me. Now remember, you could be doing something totally different, and that's cool. Now, I want to do something new. So I've already used the number 6. What if I use number 3? I already did, no, number 3. Now, I showed you before number 3 hands. Well, what if you take your number 3 and you close it off? You get lips. And the letter U makes an easy nose. If I take, let's see, something silly, 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, 6, 3, 4. Well, I'll just do a triangle now to connect it. And ears, letter C, and a backwards letter C with a T in it. And you get a silly cartoon using numbers and letters. And remember, this is what I'm showing you. You can make it up any way you want because it's your brain and your creativity seeing the shapes look like cartoons. I want to go back to my food because the food is fun for me. And I didn't get to pour them yet. So we've drawn matzah, which was a square, and latkes, which were circles. What do you think Purim Hamentashen shape is? Triangles. But again, it doesn't have to be a perfect triangle. Don't try to be perfect. Just make a shape. I'm going to use small eyes this time. In fact, no, I'm going to do a trick. If you take the letter B, a capital B, and put it on its side, and then you put dots in it, you get eyes or glasses if you put lines like that. Now, remember, Hamentashen are filled with yummy poppy seeds or jelly or chocolate or apricot or whatever. And, pardon me, here's how you make that part. If you take a curvy line and the same line but put it over here, and then another one underneath it, 3 lines, you get the pocket of where the filling goes. Like right in this little spot in here is where all the yummy poppy seeds are. If I take the letter E on its side and then box it like that and put lines, I can make teeth. And here's a trick. Well, I'll do the legs. Okay, legs. Rather than just straight sticks, what if they were curvy sticks? And the shoes are just those little squiggles. And the arms are also curves. The letter U and another U. And the fingers, let's just do the sticks again. It looks like he's moving. And with cartoons, what I like to do if they're moving is I put these little motion lines. Like he's dancing a little bit or he's just kind of doing a boogie, doing a little gymnastics. Because he's a detective, here's the last trick, and I love this trick. It's so easy. If you take a line and put it through the top of his head, and this could have been with any of the cartoons you draw, and then you put a letter M right above it, and then color it in, you get a detective hat, which comes in really handy for my next book. So those are 3 simple foodie kind of Jewish foods. But let's move on. Let's move on, and then I'll give you some time to draw something, anything you want. Let's go to how do you draw something, let's say, what if it was a matzo ball? What shape do you think I would suggest?
Circle.
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much. So, put a bad circle on your paper, but let's try to make this matzo ball seem scared. Why would it be scared? We'll get there, but if this matzo ball was scared, I might make the eyes like this. And I might think the mouth might be kind of just a scribble. And if it's scared, there are all these sweat marks coming off. And sometimes a scared character's knees shake. So I put bent legs like this, and the feet face each other, and the arms like that. And it's a matzo ball, and there's lots of stuff in a matzo ball, so I put dots all over it. Now, I'm going to walk away, and you guys figure out any reason why this matzo ball might be scared. So why don't you take a couple of minutes, and I'll just sort of doodle here, and you want, oh, is your name Ava? I see Ava on the screen. Hi, Ava. What do you got? What are you thinking?
He's scared because his friends are gonna go back into the pot of water.
Yes. Could you draw? Do you think you could draw that? That's a fun idea. So Ava's idea was that he's scared because his friends are all being put back into the hot pot of boiling water. Oh, I'm so scared. I won't write it. What would this matzo ball say in any of your drawings? I'm going to have mine say, do you see the position I put him in? I didn't think of this, but I need a bathroom. That's what this matzo ball says because he looks like he has to go to the bathroom. So I'll put the balloon around it. And that's just a silly matzo ball. And does anybody else want to share what they have? Oh, that's great. Is that a tongue? Is that a tongue sticking out of it?
It's a tooth.
Oh, it's I quite love that. I love that tooth. And what is he wearing a crown?
No. He's a police officer.
It's sometimes hard to see because it's such a small box. I love that. So what would he be saying? What would a police officer matzo ball maybe say?
Hands up.
You want to put it on your paper and see if you can do the lettering and the whole balloon thing? That's a fun way to make it become a cartoon is by adding words to it. Now, if anybody else does, I'll move to a new thing unless anybody wants to share also another one. Oh, thank you, Ava. Ha. That is really funny. Oh, what is the thought balloon? I can't read it. What does it say, the thought balloon?
Look.
And Ava just reminded me, sometimes your cartoons will talk in balloons, but other times they will think things. And these are things, and you saw that in my book, things that they don't say out loud. And the way you do that is, instead of a circle, a balloon, it's a cloud. So, that line is too big. Oops. But he doesn't want to say oops, so you make a cloud around the words that you write and write the words first, and then you make little circles come from the head to the cloud. And this is just simple, easy cartooning tricks. You see it all the time in the books that you read, and now you guys can make it too.
And Akiva and Mally have been holding up a really nice picture.
Oh, I don't, I'm in the wrong view perhaps. Because, I'm on the stop screen. Sorry, everybody. It's hard for me to see everybody. There we go. Who has something to show me? Because I don't see it.
Oh, Akiva and Mally are holding up one matzo ball that's scared of a monster.
I wish I'm not. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. I think that's why. Hold on a second. I really want to see these. This is my favorite part. Oh, that's different. I'm seeing wider range. Can I see now? Oh, that's a monster. That's really good. A monster matzo ball. That's fun to say too. when I write books, I like to create words that are fun to say out loud. So monster.
Saying it's like monster.
Oh, it's seeing a monster. That's even better. What do you think? What kind of monster would it be? Do you think?
I don't know.
Well, let's think. At the Seder, what else do we have?
Roar.
Oh, yes. Maror, the monster maror. That's fun to say. It's hard to draw. Horseradishes, I've tried this. It's a very hard thing to draw. Oh, let me see. Molly, let me see. Or is that a Kiva? Ha! Oh, I love them. I love them. Thank you for sharing those. And remember, just because I showed you like a matzah who's excited, you can draw a matzah who isn't. And it's all about playing around and learning different ways to express the characters with shapes that you know how to draw. I wanted to show you one more thing and then give you time to draw a food of your own. And it doesn't have to be Jewish food, but it can be. Like sometimes I draw pickles. No, that doesn't, oh, sorry, I didn't share my screen. That doesn't help. Here we go. So a pickle is just kind of, sorry. It's just sort of an oval shape. Why is that not working? Here we go. Sorry, I may have to just abort this. There we go. All right. It's like a big oval, but pickles have all these little seeds in them. So if you drew a pickle, and now you could put any face at all. And this is how I learned how to draw. I would draw a simple face, the simplest face I could. And then I would play a game in my head where I would say, now make a disguise, change the way this character looks. And, you know, you can do face hair, and you could change it into a different looking person. You could even make it into an animal. It's all about playing around with pens and pencils and lines and knowing that there are no mistakes, just having fun. So here's the idea. Think of a food, any food you want. It could be one of the things that we've already used today, or just something that you think you'd have fun turning into a cartoon. And take a couple of minutes, draw your food and make it a cartoon with a face and have it say something so that we all can meet, because I did meet the matzah and meet the latkes. We can all meet whatever food it is that you guys want to make. So take a moment while I work on the pickle. And I'll keep talking just to talk a little bit about where I come from. I used to work in television, and I made TV shows for kids for Nickelodeon and Disney. And after doing that for a bunch of years, I realized I wanted to write books. I wanted to do something that was totally different. So the first book I wrote was a novel for middle grade kids called Pond Scum. Let's see, this pickle, what is he feeling? I think he has a lot to say. So this pickle has a big mouth. And so I wrote my first novel, which was Pond Scum. And then I wrote 2 more novels before realizing that, hey, I draw cartoons. Why don't I try to make a picture book? And the picture book that I made was Meet the Latkes. And as I told you before, I never thought I was going to do a second one. But I came up with the idea of Alfie Komen, and that made me think that there was an idea for a book. So this pickle, why do things have to have 2 legs? They don't. So this pickle's got like a centipede. Oh, instead of a centipede, it's a centipickle. So we'll give him a bunch of feet. So I usually draw every day. I keep a blank notebook with me when I don't go out much anymore, but when I go out and I doodle, I just play and having a blank book is something that for writing your ideas down or just doodling, it's just a fun thing to have. And they're really inexpensive and oh wait, I'm gonna finish my pickle and then I'll look. So we'll do a bunch of arms too. Because I can't see unless I go back from my share screen. So that's my picklepede, my centipede pickle. Now I can go back to the screen and see better. Okay. Oh, again, I can't read it, but what is he saying? Alba?
So it just got his missing cookie part.
Yeah.
So he's he's imagining it.
And what mood is he in?
Surprised.
That's good. That's good. Okay, Casey, what do you have? What do we have down there?
How many kids are on the call?
Oh, and what is it saying? What is he saying?
He's saying, I did not know I was going to be eaten.
That's a funny character, and that's a very funny thing to say.
And
Is that fun to draw?
so yeah.
Oh, the picklepede. Picklepede? It's a new thing. Maybe I'll have to do a book about the picklepede. Anna and Jacob. Oh, Jacob. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see what. Could you help me see it better? Just to describe it to me a little bit. Oh, there we go. I don't have more. Is that an ice cube? A drink? What? Yes, now I see. Sorry, it's hard to see on the screen. It's juice. I love the glass.
It's a juice that's running out of ice cubes.
It's funny, and I love the umbrella. That's hysterical. And the expression, you really captured the feeling of a worried-looking character. That's really great. Anybody else want to share? It's so much fun, and remember, there's no mistakes. Oh, I see. What kind of a food is? Oh, there we go. There we have the matzah and the Hamentashen. Nice. You know, it's an easy food to draw, everybody. So later you can do this. Bagels or donuts, circles and circles. Simple, really easy. Does anybody else want to share? So much fun to I will tell you this, when I do this a lot, and the drawings are never the same. The ideas are, oh, well, that was fast. Can you make it into a cartoon face? I mean, put stuff on it? That was fast, Ava. Is that a bagel or a donut? I guess we shouldn't be talking about things that are bready. Sorry.
I'm actually wondering, can we have everybody hold up their artwork, but can we also sort of see their faces behind it so I can snag a picture of everyone's amazing art? All right, guys, I'm going to try to take a picture. Everyone hold up your beautiful artwork. All right, guys, on 3, 1. Oh, yeah, yay. 1, 2, 3. Good job, everybody. Thank you.
And you know what? If you have any questions that you want to ask me that we don't do, because it doesn't look like you have any more questions, you can always write me at my website, and I'm happy to answer questions. But anyway, it's really, really fun to share cartooning and share silly books with you. It's fun writing these stories because I get to tell holiday stories, but in a very silly way.
Thank you so much, Alan, for joining us. I think, oh, Casey, did you have a question, sweetie?
I also drew Pharaoh.
He's great.
Pharaoh.
Oh, he's really good.
We have so many artistes in this group.
You know, I love how you just created the shapes and put that character together, Casey. That's awesome.
You guys were all so awesome and creative and following Alan's lesson with us. So thank you again from everybody here for joining us, Alan. And I wrote in the chat where you can find Alan's book. We also are particularly trying to sell from Mabel's Fables, which is a local bookshop that we're all a fan of. But if you're scared to leave the home right now, it's also available online. And I'm excited to see you guys all again next week. Next week, we're actually featuring an author from our congregation, Rona Arato, and she wrote Mrs. Kaputnik's Pool Hall, the Matzo Ball Emporium. And actually, one of our other authors who will be joining us later on, just talking about bagels, is Andrew Larson. I see his name there. And so he will be reading us his book, The Bagel King. So guys, be ready to keep drawing more bagels. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. Nice to see you.
So guys,
Hi, that was great. I love that. That was just great.
Oh, it's really nice. I didn't realize that you were here. It's nice to say hi. I wanted to say, if anybody does get the book and want a signed copy of the book, just let me know or let Ellie know. These are the book plates that I sign to you and will mail out. So if that's something you want, it's all cool.
amazing. Thank you so much. If any of my colleagues want to give a shout out to their peeps.
Thank you.
If not, we're all just going to wave. And Chag Sameach, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Pesach, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. It's so much fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everybody.
This was really great. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you soon, Andrew.